Brands, we need to talk. It's time to start texting your customers. Yotpo, the leading e-commerce marketing platform, has the most advanced SMS marketing solution to reach customers where they are on their phones. Yotpo enables brands to build unbeatable targeted SMS experiences to create customer connections and drive revenue fast. Visit yotpo.com, that's YOTPO.com, and get personal with SMS marketing today. Hello and welcome to the D2C podcast, the show where we grill fresh, healthy D2C brands on their secret ingredients. Speaking of fresh and healthy, today we are thrilled to have Tessa Bicard, newly minted VP of Marketing for Trifecta Nutrition. Now, Trifecta is a D2C meal solution for those who want to eat clean. They deliver fresh, fully prepared, healthy meals direct to your door. Tessa leads a marketing team of 20, and Trifecta's amazing growth over the past few years has given her some amazing insights and great proof points about content marketing, influencers, team building, SEO, and lots more. Welcome to the D2C podcast, Tessa. To start with, congratulations on your promotion to VP marketing. That's very cool.
Thanks.
You start? Yeah, no problem. Can you start by walking through a little bit of your professional journey with Trifecta and what this promotion has meant?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of D2C. It's one of the few newsletters that I read fully from top to bottom when I get them in my inbox. So super excited and honored to be on the podcast today. My trajectory at Trifecta has been over the past couple of years. It's been a whirlwind and also super exciting and super fun. I think that that's pretty common in direct-to-consumer brands, especially startup brands like ours. I started as the marketing manager and then moved up quickly into the marketing director position, which was basically, creating the team, making sure that our strategy was being implemented and rolled out to support our growth goals. And then just last week, actually, I was promoted to VP of Marketing. Now my team is concerned about like, oh my gosh, what does that mean for us? I'm not going to change teams. I'm here to stay, guys. It's cool. But it does mean a little bit more responsibility and getting into a little bit more of the business side of things as well.
So as the marketing director, this is pretty much a reward for a job well done for having built this team. You were probably already doing the job very, very close to the job of the VP as the marketing director.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I was the head of our marketing department, rolled up directly to our CEO, Greg Connolly. So a little bit of recognition with that title change, obviously, and then exciting to be included in a lot of more leadership and business goal sort of conversations.
That's awesome. Okay, let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit about Trifecta as a business. We're in Canada here on the podcast, and so I've been through a number of different meal kits that we have here. Our Hello Freshes, our Blue Apron, a few of those other ones. Can you talk a little bit about the space of meal kits, prepared meal delivery, and how you see Trifecta's place within it?
Yeah, so there's a couple of differentiations that I want to make. I think a couple of years ago, meal kits were particularly sort of in vogue, Blue Aprons and whatnot, where people were really interested in like, hey, I want to cook, but I don't want to have all these wasted ingredients, or I don't really know all of the different ingredients that I need to effectuate a nice recipe at home. So send me all those things and I'll put it together and have a nice fresh meal. And then that has actually evolved into, well, I don't even have time to cook, or I don't know how to cook, or I don't want to take that time. I just need to make sure that I am eating healthy, convenient meals, and that, those nutrition elements, the macros and micronutrients, are actually feeding into fueling my body and helping me get to my fitness and health goals. So we actually exist in the ready to eat category. So not the meal kits per se, but we are fully prepared meals that are delivered fresh directly to your door, never frozen. So all you have to do is essentially heat up the meals, and you get a nice, healthy, delicious meal that is incredibly convenient and supporting your health goals.
It honestly, like that was my experience with the kits, was that this is still taking me a large amount of time. The meals were delicious and I was always enjoying what I was eating, but at the same time I was wondering if we're spending all this, we are doing all the meal prep as well, at least you I didn't feel like if I just ate that way, I would like lose weight, for instance, or that I would, that it would really help me. So it's really cool to think of yours as a solution for people that are sort of actively looking to better themselves. Has that led into the target audience? Like looking at your site, it looks like it's a very athletic individual kind of target audience.
Yes, we say that our DNA is really in the conscious athlete space. So you don't necessarily have to be a professional athlete, although we do feed quite a few professional athletes and professional sports leagues. You don't have to be a professional, though. You can just be someone who is on a health journey, whether that means that you need to lose 50 pounds or you're just trying to build some muscle so that you can support your own personal health goals. So we definitely started in the space feeding a lot of athletes, people who are specifically interested in working out or a particular sport. And we've continued along that path, but as we've gotten bigger and we've had a little bit more mass market appeal, we've been able to add, like I was mentioning before, a lot of people who are just like maybe you or myself, just looking to drop a few pounds, feel, like you have more energy, just supporting your own personal life, whatever your lifestyle is, with proper nutrition.
I love it. And looking at the marketing, it's one of those high marks that you're aiming for. Looking at the marketing, like it does appear to focus on very healthy, ripped people, athletes, but then you're going to catch a lot of people who are eating aspirationally as well. So you can aim high for your audience and still have a really great follow-up effect for people that are just interested in the lifestyle, maybe a little bit less seriously.
Absolutely. And yeah, we do take a look at, in terms of our visuals, a lot of aspirational sort of imagery. That really captures people's attention, and then we can get them in the door and get them in our funnel, and then continue to feed them like information about how to get to a healthy lifestyle, and not just like, if you aren't a bodybuilder, then this is not the right brand for you. That's not at all the case. And it's actually been very interesting because although our imagery is pretty heavily around the conscious athlete, the breakdown and demographics of our users show us that it's mostly professional people who just need to have a convenient and quick option. We have a lot of professionals who work in an office setting. They, like myself, may work out in the morning or go to the gym in the evening, but they just want to feel healthy and feel great. And so they use Trifecta as their lunch option, which is a really convenient way to not get tempted by some of the fast food options that you might have in your area, or potentially, going out to lunches. Of course, this is pre-pandemic, and getting tempted away from your health goals in that way.
Interesting. Now you've scaled this, in your tenure in the past 2 years or so. It seems like you've really scaled Trifecta up. I feel like it's given you a lot of opportunities to test different marketing levers. Can you talk a little bit about where's your focus, your team's main focus when it comes to which of these levers is giving you the most growth in terms of marketing strategies?
That is a tough question. And it's hard to narrow it down to just to one. I really believe that our success has been largely due to the fact that we have been simultaneously trying to pull on multiple levers at the same time. The analogy that I like to use is that we're continuing on some of these marathon type plays, meaning our SEO, our SEM strategy. We have an absolutely unparalleled SEO strategy, and I'm so grateful for our content and engagement team to continue driving that long tail growth over time, which helps us anchor down our customer acquisition cost as we're doing the more sprint type plays, which is in our paid media space, in our performance marketing, our direct response, et cetera. So having those working simultaneously really buoys both levers. And, of course, we can amp up some of the spend if we're needing to get to a particular goal in any given month or anything like that, but making sure that we're continuing that long tail growth on our content and SEO play.
Amazing. Okay, let's dig in a little bit on SEO. It's we're a content marketing outfit. We're either marketing our agency or our membership tools. But I'm always blown away by brands. Every brand knows that they have to get into content marketing in 2021. A cursory look at your blog, at your site, shows that you have a fully operational content marketing operation going here. And I'm just curious, we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of SEO, but like from a high level perspective, what's your strategy when it comes to making sure that you're writing stuff in a way that's going to have an organic life to it? Are you being very conscious about the keywords you're throwing in there, or is it more about just writing for your audience and knowing that they'll find you?
So both. We definitely take a look and take advantage of tools that are available online in terms of understanding what our audience is looking for, what questions are they asking, what information are they seeking, um, while positioning ourselves as the subject matter experts in nutrition and health and wellness. So there's a lot of resources out there that will tell you, hey, this is actually what people are interested in. And it's always our aim to create the best content that's available on the internet that answers those questions. So there's, of course, a myriad of free information out there, a lot of misinformation as well. And we want to make sure that people are getting this actual true information, help, tools, resources. We have a registered dietitian on staff who is also our content director. We also have MDs, we have chefs that are trained. So we really do have experts in-house that we can lean on when it comes to creating this content. It's not just a, to put it nicely, it's not just a marketer who's like, oh, I guess I'm going to write about nutrition. We actually use subject matter experts with their experience and with their education and make sure that they are writing to the audience and what they're looking for.
Very cool. Now, with some of the SEO experts that I've interviewed on the show before, the word that they throw around is velocity and content velocity, the amount that you're kind of putting out there. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what the content velocity at Trifecta looks like?
Yes. At any given time, we are publishing on different platforms. So obviously we have and actually we call it our articles, not so much a blog, although that is sort of the package that it's in on our website. So we have our articles. We also create a lot of content, video content on YouTube, and then of course our social channels. So we are creating content literally every single day. In fact, the largest team of our marketing department is we call it our engagement team, and that they're largely in charge of our content marketing. So let's see, we might have a handful of recipes go out, a handful of culinary walkthrough videos, tutorials. We definitely have blog pieces that are going out and getting published almost every week. But we do a lot of optimization as well. So our team isn't just creating new stuff and then never going back and figuring out what is working, how can we tweak it slightly. They're doing that on a daily basis and in parallel to creating new content as well. So I would say, to answer your question more directly, we have at least a handful of new pieces that are going out each week, and then we are constantly optimizing as well.
I like that idea of optimizing too, because I understand, and the way you worded it, I think is really, really smart and telling, that you're just looking to have the best answers for people's questions out there, be the best source of information, because that's what Google wants too, right? Google wants people to be able to have one click, go to a site, and then not only have that question answered, but all the questions that you think of as you're reading that, have those sort of continually answered. So I imagine that's part of that ongoing optimization, where you're realizing you're sort of adding new content, you're tweaking how you say specific things, and then you have an in-house SEO expert who's sort of just going back and really using organic visits and time on site as sort of the key metrics for how to optimize that stuff.
Yes, we take a look at how people are engaging with our content. That's why they're called the engagement team instead of we recently rebranded. They used to be called the content team. And then we're like, hey, what are you guys actually aiming towards? And that's engagement with our customers, with our prospects. And so they come back and look, how are people engaging with it? Which pieces are people not engaging with? And, maybe we didn't quite hit the mark. How can we hit the mark? And then another important component that I think a lot of people skip over, or they don't understand how critical it is the technical SEO. So making sure that we have our schema is like flawless, that we have all of our alt text that's all lined up. We actually have someone on our team who QAs everything from just specifically a technical SEO perspective. And I do think that is a different skill set than someone who might be an excellent writer. It's almost as important. Obviously, you want to be writing for humans, not for bots. But that is that component. If you do want to be picked up and recognized by search engines, you need to make sure that that's cleaned up as well.
Totally. Great insights there. So you mentioned your engagement team. Can you tell me how your marketing team is structured? What are the other teams within that marketing team?
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of our marketing department. And this took a lot of iterations, right? And gosh, I started at the company, there was about 4 people on the marketing department, and now it's grown to 20 plus people. So I've been really integral in sort of building those building blocks, and what do we want our vision to be for the marketing department? How should we structure it that makes sense and that is very supportive of our overall company goals? And we've played around with a couple of different structures, and where we are right now that I'm very happy about is we have the teams are based around what the overall goal would be for that team. And so we've got our engagement team. They're primarily responsible again for organic social media, our content strategy, our SEO strategy, our owned media channels. So even our email to a certain extent, our educational and lead nurture sort of emails. Then we have our performance team, and our performance team has the objective of getting that performance out of our marketing mix. So direct response, our paid media team, we also have our owned media, so PR strategy, where you can actually see a little bit shorter term ROI versus our engagement team, who's responsible for making sure that our customers and our prospects are engaging with the content, they're interested, and even that customer journey sort of lies within the engagement team versus the performance team. And then of course we have our creative team. I'm very happy that the creative team is actually part of our marketing department. They're not a separate entity. I have worked in organizations where it's like, okay, marketing's over here, creative is over here, and yes, we're going to combine when we need to, or we're going to have those conversations, but largely they're not really involved with each other's KPIs, and that's not the case at Trifecta. Our creative team and our creatives, our graphic designers, our producers, our videographers, photographers, they all understand marketing metrics as well as any other marketer on our team, because we're constantly talking about them. We're talking about the importance of them. And that really helps spur on our creative and make better decisions when it comes to creative, because it's not just from a purely aesthetic point of view. All of our wonderful creative team understands our KPIs, what click-through rate means, and why that's important, and what conversion rate is, and things that maybe an average graphic designer wouldn't be interested in, or wouldn't know what that means. They're very much involved in that process.
Great advice. It's as an agency at Pilot House, we talk about creative and media buying being on the same pair of skis, so that they're both headed downhill, and are incentivized, and that you really close the loop on the data, where that they're not just going on aesthetics. Because a lot of designers, it's in their instinct to just make things as beautiful as possible. But in the performance marketing world, you have to understand all the other factors that go into it. So that makes a ton of sense for how that works. So then most of your traffic teams, in terms of your top of funnel strategies, that all fits within performance. So you have in-house Facebook media buyers, Google media buyers, these kinds of things.
Yes, they are on our performance team, and they're constantly spinning up awesome campaigns, making adjustments. It is all in-house. I actually come from an agency background, and so I recognize that, especially when you're a smaller organization or are just starting to build, having that agency expertise can be super, super valuable. At Trifecta, we've made the decision to move as much in-house as we can and as quickly as we can to really start develop that collaborative culture, and getting people really, really bought in internally to the brand has been sort of the secret of our success as well. And so yes, all of our paid media managers are in-house right now.
Very cool. What traffic platforms at this point are you most excited as the head of this marketing team right now? Which are, I bet you it's omni-channel. I guarantee, just thinking about your mindset. But yeah. Which traffic platforms are you most excited about?
So we really do have a big marketing mix, and I know that that's kind of an old school term. When I was, back in my business school days, like the traditional marketing mix, and make sure that you're not just putting all of your eggs into one basket. And that still extends into our digital space today. So we have, we're constantly testing. We're testing new channels all the time. I am constantly asking my team, hey, let's think outside of the box. Don't be afraid to get weird with it. You think that there's this totally off the wall idea? Great, let's talk about it. We might not be able to implement it right now, But I love encouraging my team to get as creative as they possibly can. So we actually have an R&D component of our marketing mix. So, okay, what are some of the new channels that we can try? And let's see if it works. Let's see if we want to scale that up or if we want to devote some different resources. So to answer your question right now, the ones that I'm super excited about, CTV for sure. That's been a really fun sort of storytelling medium that we've seen some good success with. Our influencer strategy just continues to grow. That was really sort of a great starting place for us and a lot of other D2C brands, because influencers, at least a couple of years ago, tended to be slightly cheaper than maybe some more traditional marketing mixes. That might not be totally the case anymore, although micro influencers is always a great place to continue sort of fishing in that pond. And then I think probably the social media platform that I'm the most excited about is TikTok. I'm kind of addicted to TikTok myself. So it's been really, really fun to see how other brands and how other content creators are utilizing that platform as well. We haven't seen like some massive blow up on our TikTok channel or even from our TikTok ads, but I think that that's a really, really interesting place for us to start playing around with things.
I love it. I love that you have this R&D thread that runs through your marketing team there, because it can be so easy to get locked in with the things that are working, or the platform channels, the traffic channels that you already understand and that you already know. But to have that as a mindset that everyone should be bringing kind of interesting opportunities to the table, I think that's really cool. Need high-quality, fully licensed UGC? With Mini Social, you can produce beautiful, authentic, and fully licensed user-generated content featuring your products with micro-influencer creators. D2C brands like Native, Olipop, Hydrant, and others love working with Mini Social as a way to populate their organic social acquisition channels, website, and beyond, while also competing dollar for dollar with traditional influencer activations on Instagram and TikTok. Get started on a campaign at minisocial.com today. Can we dive in a little bit on your influencer strategy? So when I hear, I hear influencers, I hear creators. When I think of influencers, I think of them being, providing both the creative and in a lot of cases, the traffic as well. Is that how you think about influencers at this point? Or are you using their content in places across the rest of your funnel as well?
Yeah, again, I keep on just saying both because that is actually the answer to your question.
Of course.
We love to see when we have a big post or someone who has a really large and engaged following and they do a post about Trifecta, we definitely see a spike in traffic. We might see a spike in direct traffic or organic traffic. People just see that the brand that they might not be familiar with, so then they start doing a little bit of research. So I would encourage people, if you are using some influencers or if you are using some kind of the big campaign, we have excellent attribution software, but you need to think through the process of how people are seeing that information and how they're translating it into traffic to your site. So take a look at like organic traffic, direct traffic, which obviously is the bucket that's hard to quantify or qualify rather, and taking a look at the traffic from that actual like UTM parameter or however you set it up. So we see a spike in traffic, that's for sure. We also, if they're excellent creators, and that's really who we try to target in terms of the influencers that we reach out to, if they are very creative in their approach, if they're very on brand and good channel alignment with our brand, we are able to take some of that content, turn it over into an ad format, maybe put a little bit of ad budget behind it, and then we usually see some pretty good results from that as well.
Nice. And with your influencers, are you focused more on, the CrossFit, the fitness levels, or are you also dabbling with more lifestyle style influencers?
A little of both. We definitely had some great, I guess some of our first influencers were definitely in the CrossFit space. They were definitely in sort of the paleo eating space. That's how we sort of cracked into a little bit of this health and wellness niche within the ready to eat foods, as well as the UFC, the PGA Tour, other large sports leagues that we've been able to partner with over the years. But now we're getting into some even celebrities, some big names in Hollywood. There's been quite a few actual celebrities who have started using our meal plan, and we didn't reach out to them in particular, but we saw that their name all of a sudden popped up on our orders this week, and it's like, oh my gosh, is that person? And then yes, it is, and so we're able to actually partner even that way. So that's been pretty fun and very exciting, I have to say.
I love that when you can discover those organic, product associations and potentially mine them. That's just got to feel like real found money.
Totally.
That's awesome. Okay, and then speaking of your R&D, like let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you've done to generate awareness top of funnel. We were saying like, when you start out as a D2C brand, it's like you gotta, you feel like you gotta master Instagram and Facebook and really make sure that you figure out that lever so that you can put $2 in and get $3 out, kind of thing. But once you achieve a certain size, you're really looking for those other opportunities to really just sort of grow the whole pool of the people that you could eventually remarket to on Facebook, whatever. Can you talk about a couple of the methods that you've used, maybe outside of the box, in order to generate that top of funnel awareness?
Yeah. So let's see. We have done some kind of more traditional marketing methods in the past. We had some billboards here in Sacramento that I can see from my office, which is where our headquarters is located. We've done some direct mail pieces as well. And that's what I mean by like getting a little bit outside of our digital box. Those tend to be sometimes a little bit more expensive plays, and definitely, and I think that where digital marketers get a little bit scared of trying those is that's very difficult to tie back to attribution properly. It's like, well, okay, great, I'm going to put this billboard out there. Who the heck knows if I'm getting more direct traffic this week because of the billboard or because we had some kind of a spike, internally. It's very hard for the attribution, which makes your bosses very nervous. They want to know what the ROI is specifically on the channels that we're paying for. So we have tried those, and the way that we actually take a look at the attribution is exactly sort of like I mentioned for the influencers is, okay, if we're seeing organic traffic go up, if we're seeing direct traffic go up, we can probably have at least a little bit of a correlation there. And we continue to refine that as well. We are the title sponsor for the Mr. Olympia, which is the biggest bodybuilding show in the world. So that's been great for driving a little bit more brand awareness. So some of those live events are really great. We also have the sponsorships and the partnerships that, again, like some of those large sports leagues that I mentioned, PGA Tour, UFC, CrossFit, and a handful of others. So those have been some really great sort of brand awareness plays for us. Gets the bug in people's ear, gets people to recognize our Triple Infinity logo and our orange box and everything like that. And then we continue to reinforce that messaging via our digital channels.
Nice. I kind of skimmed over it. You said that TikTok was the platform that you're most excited about right now. Can you talk a little bit about your approach in TikTok and why it's got you so excited?
TikTok is such a cool medium and such a different one than the very, very popular Instagram, which is actually where we have our largest following on social media, is our Instagram channel. And for many years, Instagram's been top of the list because of these beautiful, curated, created, manicured, amazing photos and video. And it's aesthetically very pleasing to look through an Instagram feed and to see some of those amazing images. TikTok, on the other hand, super raw, super honest. It's hard to be as curated when you're just doing like basically your selfie cam and dancing around your living room or playing with your dogs or something like that. So I'm excited about it because I think that we're going to see some more organic type posts and some more real life interaction with the product, which I think people can feel a little bit closer to. So rather than seeing a beautiful person with this incredibly almost unrealistically beautiful kitchen that they're preparing this amazing meal, this is like true people. Hey, I got my box, I'm going to do an unboxing, this is what it really looks like. And that feels a little bit more authentic on TikTok right now. And so that's really what I'm excited about. We have a lot of amazing, very loyal customers and a lot of really amazing, very loyal and very brand bought in influencers. So I think that we can leverage a lot of that content creation when it comes to their honest experience with the product.
I'm always amazed at the emotions and the like how good TikTok videos can be even in the moment. When people add in a little music here and there or the right zoom or just because I think because it lives in that real moment of like pure authenticity, there's a real opportunity to connect with people, whether viewers or consumers or whoever. I can see why you're addicted to the platform. I'm finding myself, I actually pretty much only experience TikTok through Twitter, but it's like probably my favorite part of Twitter is just the TikTok videos that I get to see. So maybe I should jump on the platform.
Well, I just love the sense of humor that people have. And, they call themselves, and actually right now there's like 3 different levels of account that you can have. You can have a personal one, a creator account, and a business account. And I love it that they call them creators, because there is so much creativity that you can hone in with the different filters, with the different music, with the quick cuts. The editing software, I think, is absolutely genius, and it's really turned your average person into a little bit of a video editor, and that's super fun for people. It's actually more time consuming than I think people realize. It certainly is for me and our team who are creating the TikToks. So something to keep in mind, it is maybe a heavier lift than just a static photo that you would put on your Instagram feed or something like that. But that's also why you should leverage maybe some influencers on TikTok, because they're already doing that amazing creative lift. If you find one that's willing to do an unboxing or a product experience for your D2C brand, that could be a huge win for you.
Nice. So the prepared the meal kit space is, I imagine, hyper competitive. There's a lot of people trying to get those boxes delivered. I'm sure the prepared meal space is also a competitive space. How do you think about competitors in this recent, relatively new phenomenon of meals delivered to your home?
Well, the pandemic has helped in a weird way. So we actually did grow during the pandemic because people are now more comfortable with the idea of getting prepared meals delivered directly to their homes, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, when people were like, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how safe it is to even go to the grocery store. That helped democratize a little bit the idea of getting fresh food delivered to your house. But we actually, in terms of competitors, we think of not just other fully prepared meals as a direct competitor. We think of grocery stores and fast food places and even restaurants as being a direct competitor of ours. Any place that you would get food and that's saving you potentially time, money, or energy, we're going to be very interested in seeing how their approach is to customers and what the consumer behavior is. So, 20 years ago, people were not getting food delivered directly to their homes, but maybe they were buying frozen meals that was very convenient, and they could just heat it up in the microwave or whatever. Now we're seeing a lot more companies, a lot more other brands like ours. That is, hey, how can we get you healthy, good food and cut out some of the friction? Some of that friction is, for example, going to the store. Obviously during the pandemic, some people were a little bit more hesitant to do that, but it even means the gas prices, even in normal time. What's the gas prices? What's the time that it's going to take for you to go shopping? In addition, we have a huge advantage over traditional grocery or even some of our other competitors like fast food restaurants, where there's little to no food waste at all. These meals are perfectly portioned for one person, and you can add additional proteins or vegetables from our a la carte line if you need a little bit of extra macros, for example. But you don't have that 5 pound bag of spinach in your refrigerator that everyone has thrown away. They've purchased it with like, yeah, I know that connects with so many people because we've all done it. You buy this giant Costco bag of greens thinking like, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to make salads this week, and then it ends up going bad, and you just have to toss it out. That's a huge problem in America, and we waste so much food. So having these perfectly proportioned meals with zero food waste is actually one of our keys to sustainability, in addition to all of the ways that we're sourcing our material.
I love it. And by broadening out like that, it just gives you so many different pain points that you can kind of incorporate into your marketing. Even the one that's like the highest on the list was it reminds me of a tweet I saw, which said that no one told me that the hardest part of being an adult was to figure out what I'm going to eat every single night for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And just that right there, having that decision taken off your plate and understanding that you're going to get something healthy, fresh, delicious to your door, like that seems like a big win.
It totally is. And we are very fortunate to have some incredibly culinary chef trained folks on our team that create the recipes, that tweak the recipes, and we're constantly trying to get our customer feedback directly so that we can make those adjustments. And for the most part, our meals are chef's choice right now, which means that it's based off of availability of the produce and seasonality. But that also is kind of a fun additional component because you're going to have new recipes in your box practically every week, and it really helps to keep things fresh and new and exciting. And so you're not just eating, the same thing day after day or even week after week. And it also eliminates that, that choice conundrum that you were mentioning before. You don't have to decide exactly what you want to eat because you have a myriad of things in your refrigerator that you can just grab one and see what's for dinner tonight.
Love it. I had another question about R&D. I have a note here about an audience that you discovered through your research and development phase in your marketing side, and that you actually were finding that ability to sell. You sell, you've got these relationships with pro sporting, companies, PGA, different companies like that. But I see also here that you've got some inroads into the Twitch pro gamer community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to me, actually. And I can't take credit for it. I'm going to give full credit to my team who brought this to me as like, hey, we should totally jump on this. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about gamers and people in the gaming community. I personally am not a gamer, so I have a lot to discover about this world. But there's a lot of misconceptions of, they don't really care about nutrition. They are, just addicted to their consoles or whatever it
Yep.
is. And
In their mom's basement is the
exactly
the big one,
in their
right?
mom's basement, like eating Cheetos and ramen.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, gamers are so serious about their sport. It is amazing. Esports obviously is just exploding right now. And they need to have the cognition and the quick reflexes, and they are recognizing that having proper nutrition is supporting those skills, those actual physical skills that they need, concentration, and making sure that they're at the top of their sport. It's really, really interesting to see this. So, and here's the other component about gaming, right? They don't have time to cook. So this is like a perfect combination of, you want healthy, nutritious food that is going to feed your body to support your sport, and you don't have time to do it. Let Trifecta come in there and help. So we've actually had a couple of conversations with some actual leagues and some teams as well. And that's sort of the next R&D area that we're going to get into a little bit more, is to see how the gamer community reacts to Trifecta and how we can sort of get in on Twitch, et cetera.
I love it. It just shows you the evolution of sport in general. I remember watching, I'm Canadian, so I got to mention curling. Like, you watch curlers 10, 20 years ago, and they were these like overweight, non-athletic looking people. But you watch anyone in that sport now, and they've realized, just like anything that you do, you fuel your body better, you take care of yourself better, you're going to be able to perform at a higher level. It's neat to think that happening already in the esports world, because I'm not a gamer and I still have that perception, I think, of this unhealthy sort of world, and that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, it's great to see. I really think that in a weird way, the pandemic has brought wellness to a lot more like mass market. And so the idea of this has already been a conversation for a couple of years now, but the idea of how meditation and building your rituals and your routines, and making sure that you have proper nutrition, even if you're not in a particular sport or discipline, all of those things are combining to make your life better, which is really kind of what every brand strives for, right? Is to help make your consumers' lives better. And we can see that direct correlation with, obviously we are literally feeding hundreds and thousands of people every single day. And that's really exciting to see.
That is very cool. So you're now the VP of marketing. Long live the new VP of marketing. What are your biggest goals for Trifecta in 2021?
Well, we have some pretty lofty goals when it comes to our business, and being a direct-to-consumer brand, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners are going to connect to this directly, direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand as we are, a lot of the actual sales and the customer acquisitions fall on the shoulders of the marketing department. So we have some pretty exciting goals that we're trying to strive for, and making sure that we are keeping our customer acquisition costs down. That's one of our biggest KPIs, as well as continuing the growth velocity. We have some pretty ambitious growth goals for the overall company and what our revenue should look like at the end of 2021. Can't share those details exactly, but they're super exciting. In addition to those growth goals, we are continuing to build out the team and hiring more people. It's my vision to have a small army of amazing marketers that are really creating a almost like a publishing or a media company. That's really kind of the vision for the marketing department. It's not just marketing. It's we are continuing to deliver value, create content, give helpful and useful information, entertain people as well. And that's essentially, a media company. So we're going to continue on that direction and make sure that we're finding the best people to help us build the team.
I think that's so smart. I think this is something we hear more and more, something we're doing ourselves, trying to become a media empire. And it's just this idea of linear commerce, that when you can, as it gets harder and more expensive to reach people, as is maybe the case with what will unfold with iOS 14.5, you really, if you create yourself as the hub, and if you become a big chunk of their internet experience with your content, it's only going to benefit you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. I have here as one of your missions to become the internet of fitness and nutrition. And I think that's lofty, but that's exactly what you need to be aiming at.
It's totally doable too. We are absolutely aiming at, there's been a lot of like, oh, we want to be the Uber of this, or we want to be the Amazon of this.
The Spotify of this, I hear a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. We just want to be the internet of health and wellness. And so what do you use the internet for? You go there to find information. You go there to find products. You go there to get help. You go there to connect with people. Those are all the main purposes of the internet. And we believe that Trifecta can actually accomplish that through our ecosystem. And it's not just going to be, food. We have very ambitious goals to continue expanding on all of those different themes, so that we're an entire ecosystem, just like the internet is, but for health and wellness and nutrition.
And like any content ecosystem, you need a podcast, which I understand you just started in March. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's going?
Yes. So we actually had a different version of a podcast several years ago. Our founder, Greg Connolly, and Uriah Faber, who is a UFC champion, they started this thing called the CaliCast several years ago. And that was really fun, talking about the challenges of a UFC fighter and, being a business owner. He's also a local sort of Sacramento legend. So that was a really fun place for us to start. But more recently, we've gotten back into the Trifecta podcast, a little bit more focused on some of our amazing celebrity athletes and getting them to tell their story about how they got to where they are. We see these amazing people, these amazing athletes, and you just think, wow, they're just an incredible human being and they have amazing DNA. But every single one of them has an incredible story of how they got to where they are, and to be able to share that story and a lot of the setbacks that even sort of normal humans have to deal with, to be able to connect with those athletes and see that they have had to go through similar struggles, similar challenges. That's been a really fun thing for us to explore.
Very cool. One thing I didn't mention, as a subscription company, obviously your number one goal, I guess, is LTV, and making sure that, after customer acquisition, it's all about keeping those customers. Mm-hmm. Does that happen within your engagement team? Does the optimization of that subscription process come within the engagement team?
That's largely one of their objectives. We also have an amazing sales team that is really in charge of a lot of the customer support and customer service. And they're located right here in Sacramento as well. And so they're really, again, in-house is kind of the direction that Trifecta has been moving. And that includes the people who are directly talking to our customers or prospects, helping people out with their order. If they need to change something, they can reach out to our team. So that's largely in our sales team, in addition to from the marketing perspective and the engagement marketing. Yes, that's with our engagement team. So we're constantly trying to bring them back in, give them new tips about how to use the product this week, and make sure that we extend their lifetime value as much as we can, while still having a really, really happy and productive experience with them.
I like that. Do you have any specific tips within that retention space? Obviously, your content marketing is going to play into it, as you mentioned there. You really want people to be able to visualize how they're going to use the product, how they're going to benefit from it. Any other tips for boosting retention for products like this?
We have launched a program called Trifecta Me, which is a 90-day program to get people as educated and familiar with their own nutrition goals and how Trifecta can help them. We launched that for all people. So even if you're not actually purchasing the food, you can get in on the Trifecta Me program. But for the majority of the people who are using this program, they're also ordering the food. And so that's been a really great play for us, because 90 days is like already built in, like, okay, we're pretty sure that we're going to get, a good chunk of time out of this particular subscription. But more than just, trying to squeeze every last subscription dollar out of these people, we're truly educating them along the process. And so the goal here is that regardless of their relationship with Trifecta in the future, they will have had a positive experience with the brand, and they will come away smarter and more educated and in better health, just, for the rest of their life. So that's been actually a really positive thing for the retention play for sure, but also to make sure that we are serving our customers well and into their future.
I love it. Okay, last question here. We like to ask, this may be a drop in your marketing budget, but if we had a DTC $50,000 grant to your marketing team, where do you put it in the next few months to see the biggest results?
$50,000 would go directly into investing into the team. So we are huge believers here at Trifecta, and I have to give amazing props to our leadership team as well, of the concept of Kaizen, so continuous improvement and continuous education. And we really do embody that brand value internally. We have opportunities for going to conferences or getting online courses or getting access to books or podcasts or Audible or whatever you want. If it's an opportunity to learn, we want to support that. And Trifecta does a phenomenal job of that overall, but I would immediately dedicate that back into my team. What do you guys want to learn? How do you want to level up your skills? How can we help? And using that money to invest in the team, because that's really, that's where you're going to get the long-term ROI and make your people happy at the same time.
That is VP level thinking. Very nicely done. Okay, cool. So if people want to try Trifecta, where do you recommend they go? I hear you might have a special offer for our listeners.
Yes, please check it out. And I have to say thank you, Eric, because I have discovered so many awesome D2C brands that I've ordered from thanks to this podcast. So absolutely. Go and check it out. We're at www.trifectanutrition.com, and you can use our checkout code DTC40 to get 40% off your first delivery.
That's a no-brainer. That is the biggest discount we've had yet dropped on the D2C podcast. So I really, unfortunately, as a Canadian, I guess you're not available here yet. I know Thomas has received a box or two and absolutely loves it. So I am excited for our listeners to check it out. Make sure you email me back. Email me at eric@directtoconsumer.com. Let me know how it goes. If people want to get in touch with you, learn more about your journey, learn more about what you're doing, any way to get in touch with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tessa Norton Bicard. Just search for that or search Trifecta and I'll be there. Also, if you are interested in seeing my total dorky TikToks, you can find me at handle Big Red Marketing Boss. And I have some pretty fun brand, evaluations. I like to nerd out on marketing stuff and branding. That's a particular interest of mine. So that's what my TikTok is based on.
I think we need a Big Red Marketing machine column in the newsletter. So we'll be talking to you about contributing to the newsletter kind of going forward, because I think that would be fantastic. Thank you so much for taking this podcast today, Tessa. And we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.